All right. Uh, for those of you who are not happy with your exam results, you can come Friday at 11 and take a makeup exam. And whatever improvement you make, I'll give you 75% of that. And other than that, I don't think in this class there's anybody else except Tatiana who had the half exam. Yes. Then you can come either tomorrow at 8 or Wednesday at 8 or Thursday at 8. Okay, we're going to continue with chapter 8. Investment criteria. I plan to spend 2 lectures on it. And next Wednesday, we're going to have a Jeopardy on chapter 7 and 8. And I'll give you a homework assignment on 7 and 8 together as well. Now, this chapter is about capital budgeting. It's basically making decisions on investment projects. We're not talking about investments into buying 100 shares of Google. We're talking investments like, do I want to start a new product? Do I want to make improvements to an existing facility? Or do I want to acquire or merge with some other company? Stuff like that. These are major capital investments. I'm not talking about, short-term capital investments like accounts receivable, inventory, and stuff. This process has 3 stages. Stage number 1 is make projections on cash flows from investment projects. This is something we're going to cover in chapter 9. Before I continue, let me update the attendance. Very loose here. Who else came late? You did. I took care of you. You came late? Ashley? Oh, you're here? Say it again? Bryson? I think one more person came late. I know you did. I took care of you. Okay. Second stage is deciding on a hurdle rate or cost of capital. Basically, we're going to make a decision on what is the rate at which we're going to discount the future cash flows from the project. And that's going to depend upon the nature of the risk. And this is the topic of chapter 11 and 12. The last stage is actually calculating criteria for investment evaluation and making decisions. This is precisely the topic of chapter 8. Certain semesters, I used to do it in the reverse order, 11, 12, 9, and 8, but I just decided to go read the book. So in this chapter, we're going to assume that A, somebody told us what the cash flows from this investment opportunity is, and B, what is the appropriate discount rate or the hurdle rate. Knowing those, we're going to think about different measures to use to make decisions. For criteria, there are 4 desirable properties for any investment criteria. Criterion. Criteria is the plural. I know, too much Latin. The first one says it should take time value of the money into account. Whatever else the measure we're developing does, it should not treat $100 next year same as $100 10 years from now. Number 2, it should take riskiness of cash flows into account. Certain projects are not as risky. For example, if all you're doing is making improvements to an existing facility, uh, that's probably it's not as risky as coming up with a new product. And even the nature of the product may matter. We're going to figure out how to do that in chapters 11 and 12. Number 3, it should take all the cash flows into account. You're probably thinking that's a no-brainer. Why would I ignore some of the future cash flows? But as you're going to find out towards the end of this lecture, there is a rather popular and simple to calculate measure. It's called the payback period. Basically, how fast are you going to get your money back from the investment? That measure completely ignores what happens once you get your money back. Number 4, it should provide a measure of how much value is added to the firm if the project is accepted. If I come up with a new product, does it add $1 billion to company value? Does it add 100 million? Number 4 is not interested in just whether or not it adds value. It's interested in how much value does it add. Turns out there is only one criterion that satisfies all these properties, and that is net present value. We will always abbreviate that to NPV. It has a simple definition. Let C0 be the cost of putting the project in place. If you get a new product, uh, you got to basically build new facilities, uh, buy certain equipment, machinery, maybe a little bit of inventory and that sort of stuff. And let C1 through Cn, or actually Cf through somebody who comes up with these numbers is going to tell me this project has a useful life of 10 years, and here are the cash flows we project for the next 10 years. 50 million, 60 million, 10 million, what have you. And let R be the appropriate discount rate or hurdle rate or cost of capital. You may hear me using any one of those three terms. They all mean the same thing.